Sophia and I had once been the kind of couple others envied. She was captivating, intelligent, and ambitious. We met in Vienna, where I worked as an operations manager at a luxury hotel, and she was an event coordinator. Our chemistry had been instant, our passion undeniable. Within a year we were married, building a life together in Zurich. But cracks formed over time. My long hours at work strained our relationship, and Sophia craved attention. I noticed the late-night phone calls, the unexplained absences, the way she withdrew from my touch. I told myself we could fix it. I wanted to believe it was just a phase. Then, 3 weeks ago, I found the messages. Her phone buzzed while she was in the shower, the name Marco flashing on the screen. Guilt gnawed at me as I picked it up, but curiosity won. What I saw shattered every illusion I had left. Explicit messages. Promises of stolen nights. And it wasn't just Marco. Victor and Emile had their own threads, each one more damning than the last. Sophia wasn't just cheating. She was living a double life. The next evening I confronted her. I laid the evidence before her. Screenshots, hotel receipts, photos from the private investigator I had hired. She didn't deny it. She laughed. "You've been playing detective," she scoffed, pouring herself another glass of wine. "How pathetic." I clenched my fists, my voice trembling with fury and heartbreak. "How could you do this?" She shrugged. "Because you're boring, Elias. You bury yourself in work and ignore me. Victor, Marco, Emile. They know how to treat me. They make me feel alive." Her words gutted me, but I refused to break in front of her. "You're throwing everything away," I said coldly. "For them. For fun." She smirked, sipping her wine. "And you'll never be man enough to stop me." 2 nights later they came for me. I arrived home to find them lounging in my living room as if they owned the place. Victor sat in my chair, feet propped up on the coffee table. Marco and Emile stood beside him, beers in hand. And Sophia, my wife, sat between them, laughing like this was the best night of her life. Victor rose, towering over me. "Sit down," he ordered, his voice laced with menace. I stood my ground. "Get out of my house." Victor chuckled darkly, pulling a knife from his pocket. The blade caught the light, glinting ominously. "You don't make the rules here," he said. "Now sit." I hesitated, rage boiling beneath my skin, but I knew I was outnumbered. They forced me into a chair, strapping me down like an animal. Victor leaned in, his breath hot against my face. "Now you're a real cuckold," he sneered. "Watch while we have fun with her." Sophia smirked, her gaze cold. "Watch, bastard," she whispered. "Maybe you'll learn something." Humiliation burned through me as they laughed, mocking me. But while I sat there bound and helpless, my mind was already working. I memorized every word, every smirk, every arrogant gesture. I swore they would pay. Victor was the first. He worked as a bouncer at an exclusive nightclub, walking alone to his car every night after his shift. Perfect target. A dark alley. No witnesses. I waited for him. When he stepped toward his car, I emerged from the shadows, a baseball bat concealed under my coat. "Elias." He chuckled, unfazed. "What are you gonna do, huh?" I didn't answer. I swung the bat. The crack of impact sent him staggering. He gasped, crumpling to the pavement. But I wasn't finished. Blow after blow, I let out every ounce of rage, every shred of humiliation. By the time I was done, he was barely conscious, his body broken. He'd live. But he would never forget. Next were Emile and Marco. For them I had something worse than pain. I gathered every piece of evidence I had. Photos, messages, videos from the hidden cameras I had installed. Emile, a married man with 2 kids, had built his life on a foundation of lies. Marco, an up-and-coming artist, had carefully curated a pristine reputation. I destroyed them. I sent everything to Emile's wife, ensuring she saw every explicit detail. She filed for divorce immediately, taking the kids, half his assets, and his dignity. His employer found out and fired him. He was left with nothing. For Marco, I went public. I leaked everything to the media, turning his name into a scandal. Galleries blacklisted him. Clients abandoned him. His career crumbled overnight. And Sophia. She was the easiest. I served her divorce papers, froze our accounts, and left her with nothing. No money. No reputation. No allies. The woman who once smirked at me now begged for mercy. Months later, I stood on the balcony of my new apartment, watching the city lights flicker in the distance. Victor was still in the hospital, haunted by his injuries. Emile scraped by on odd jobs, his family gone. Marco had fled the city, his name tainted forever. And Sophia? She was a ghost, her glamorous life reduced to ashes. The best revenge isn't just destruction. It's making them live with the consequences. I took a slow sip of my drink, a thought crossing my mind. Some betrayals don't break us. They make us stronger. And stronger I had become.